Ladies and gentlemen, in recent times, the Amhara region of Ethiopia has become a focal point of intense conflict, with ongoing hostilities between the Ethiopian National Defense Force, ENDF, and Amhara Fano forces raging on multiple fronts. We have received the latest updates from the battlefield, and I'm here to share them with you in this video. According to reliable sources, the most recent developments indicate that following a fierce and protracted battle, ENDF soldiers have successfully gained full control over Injbara. Injbara is a significant town situated in Ethiopia, serving as the administrative center of the Abiy zone within the Amhara region. It's worth noting that this victory comes after several hours of relentless combat, during which Amhara Fano forces entered Injbara town. As per accounts from the Amhara Fano forces, the ENDF sustained heavy losses on this front. Many ENDF soldiers were captured, while others suffered severe injuries. Tragically, there were several casualties among the ENDF ranks. Additionally, reports from Fano sources suggest that numerous ENDF vehicles were also destroyed during the fierce fighting in Injbara. To provide some context, in a previous video update, I informed you that, following a similar intense conflict in the Abiy zone, the Fano forces managed to gain control over Sekala and Tilili. The latest reports now indicate that the city of Injbara has fallen under the combined attack of Fano forces operating from Sekala and Tilili. In a recent significant development, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has penned a letter addressed to Western countries, in which he candidly acknowledges the failure of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, to disarm due to their non-compliance with his consent. He pleads for international assistance, expressing deep concern over the escalating conflict in the Amhara region. Abiy Ahmed underscores his commitment to resolving contentious issues in Wolkite and Rayan through a referendum, but he finds himself struggling to control the situation, fearing that the Amhara uprising may spiral out of control. Abiy Ahmed's letter is replete with several noteworthy points that warrant detailed analysis. Firstly, he underscores the federal government's approach of goodwill and trust-building. Despite the peace agreement stipulations regarding disarmament timelines, the government refrained from imposing strict deadlines on the Tigray region, signaling an openness to negotiation and peaceful resolution. Furthermore, Abiy Ahmed highlights the government's decision not to deploy a significant armed and security force contingent to Tigray, despite the constitutional prerogatives that would allow such action. This calculated approach aims to prevent further escalation of tensions and maintain a conducive environment for dialogue and reconciliation. Another pivotal aspect is the representation in the interim regional administration. Notably, the ruling party at the federal level, as per the peace agreement, is entitled to a seat in the administration. However, the federal government chose to abstain from including them, emphasizing its commitment to fostering peace and cooperation rather than imposing mandates. On the matter of contested areas, Abiy Ahmed's letter reveals efforts by the federal government to bring together contesting regional states in search of peaceful and lawful solutions. This endeavor entails the return of internally displaced persons, IDPs, the establishment of local administrations with local residents' participation, the transfer of security and law enforcement duties to federal forces, and a commitment to hold referendums in these areas as mandated by the Ethiopian constitution. Nonetheless, Abiy Ahmed candidly acknowledges that there remain critical challenges that need careful consideration. The process of disarmament of ex-TPLF combatants has been unduly delayed, raising concerns. He expresses alarm over elements in the region that appear intent on resorting to violence, labeling them spoiler elements who violate both the letter and spirit of the peace agreement and pose a significant threat to the peace process. He unequivocally condemns any attempts to provoke conflict or disrupt the fragile peace. Abiy Ahmed's letter appeals to friends and partners of Ethiopia to continue supporting and encouraging all parties to adhere to the peace agreement and refrain from actions that could jeopardize peace and security in Ethiopia. The international community's involvement and diplomatic efforts are deemed crucial for achieving lasting peace. Simultaneously, the federal government pledges to intensify its efforts to consolidate peace and ensure the full implementation of the peace agreement. The most recent updates from the Ethiopian conflict reveal a deeply troubling and distressing pattern of behavior involving the Ethiopian army and associated forces. Reports suggest that, following military operations, there have been disturbing allegations of looting, violence, and the deliberate destruction of civilian homes. These acts have had devastating consequences on the affected communities. It is important to stress the gravity of these allegations. The Ethiopian army, which should ideally be responsible for ensuring the safety and security of the population, is instead being accused of engaging in actions that are diametrically opposed to these principles. The looting of property, which includes essential resources as well as personal possessions, further exacerbates the suffering of the already vulnerable civilian population. Equally distressing are reports of violence, including loss of life. The accounts of harm inflicted upon civilians are deeply distressing and underscore the human toll of this conflict. Families have been torn apart, and communities are left in mourning as they grapple with the tragic consequences of the actions of those tasked with their protection. Perhaps most disturbing is the alleged burning of civilian homes. This not only leaves countless people homeless, but also destroys their sense of security and belonging. It contributes to a sense of displacement and despair that can have far-reaching psychological and emotional consequences on those affected. These allegations point to the urgent need for a thorough and impartial investigation into the conduct of the Ethiopian army and associated forces during this conflict. Accountability for these actions is essential, not only to bring justice to the victims, but also to prevent such actions from recurring in the future.